Hi Cancer, welcome back to the Astrology 33 channel. This is your March 2021 tarot reading. Thank you to those of you who've liked, viewed, shared, subscribed, and donated to the channel. I appreciate all of that. For those of you interested in booking a personal reading with me, just check out the description video for more details there. As far as what we have in front of us, for those of you new to the channel, what we have is Celtic Cross spread in front of us, and I also pulled an Oracle card and Mudra card. But we're actually going to start the reading off by rolling those dice we see in front of us. Those are going to actually help us get an idea of where the main focus should be for you guys as far as the astrology goes. So we'll get started with that. Okay, so we have Aries, and for you guys that's your 10th house of career and social status. And actually, as we get toward the end of March, we're going to see the sun move into Aries, so that would make sense if your focus is going to be there at some point. We also have Venus. So Venus is in Aquarius right now. I'm trying to think. For a good part of March, it's going to be in Pisces, but then I think toward the end, it's actually going to move into Aries as well. So we see more Aries energy as far as that part goes anyway. And we have 1, so first house. So could just be saying that you guys are focusing on yourselves a lot this month as well. And interestingly enough, Aries is the natural ruler of the first house. So you can see how those energies all tie in together. But let's move those out of the way and get started with the main spread. So, main situation position, we have the moon. Now, you guys are ruled by the moon, so of course I feel like you guys naturally feel lunar cycles more than most signs anyway. But usually when this card comes up, that usually to me points out to the fact that you should pay a little more attention to the lunar cycles this month. The time I'm recording this, we had the Aquarius new moon recently, and we're going to have the Virgo full moon next at the end of February. So that could be one area of focus. That's your third house communication. Then we're going to have a new moon in Pisces, which is your 9th house. And then toward the very end of March, we're going to have a full moon in Libra. So just pay special attention to those energies there. But beyond that, this could just be saying that you could be of two minds around a certain situation, maybe trying to feel your way through a situation as well as far as decision making goes. And this could just be encouraging you to do that as well, because it could just be saying that, if you're just going off of what you see, you might not be getting the full picture, but whereas if you tune into your intuition a little bit more, you might actually have a better idea as to which path you want to go on. And regarding what it could be about in the challenge or obstacle position, we have the 9 of Pentacles. So for some of you, this could be saying that you could just be weighing your options as opposed to when it comes to either staying in a connection, for example, or possibly going the independent route. So for some of you, that could be a relationship, right? Because the 9 of Pentacles energy does usually represent that single independent energy. So you could just be weighing the pros and cons of, okay, if I stay in a relationship, yes, I might have more overall, but on the other hand, if I stay single, I'd have more freedom, right? Because what always stands out to me is she has the 6 pentacles stacked up there, but on the other side, she has the 3. So it's less overall, but then she's looking at that bird, and to me, the bird represents freedom there. So you could just be weighing your pros and cons. Same thing if this is around a career situation as well. You could just be saying, well, I could stay in the tried and true safe path, right, with my career, or maybe I could go my own way where, I might not have the financial security, but I have more freedom to do what I want to do. So that could be some of the options you're currently weighing right now. In the foundation position, we have the 10 of Wands, which is Sagittarius energy, 6th house for you guys. 9 of Cups, which is Pisces energy, 9th house for you guys. And the Ace of Cups. So, especially given that this is 6th house energy, this could just be saying that, you might be overworking yourselves. So, like I was saying, maybe for those of you where you're thinking about that, maybe you're like, okay, yes, I'm getting a certain level of financial stability through my job, but I have a lack of freedom, right? Because if we look at this guy, he can't even really see where he's going. Yeah, he has those 10 wands, but does he even know if he's on the right path anymore? You can't even see the way in front of him. So could just be saying that could be why you're in that thought process right now. And if that's the case with the Nine of Cups, to me, this is like a twofold thing. On the one hand, it could just be saying to, take a bit of a break and, as opposed to just constantly being on the go and pushing forward, could just be saying to, try to take a little time to let things come to you because the Nine of Cups is a much more receptive energy. And then also, where I say this is twofold is because this is Pisces energy here. So this could just be pointing to a timeline saying that when we do get into early March, you might actually start to feel that energy come over you a little bit more where you're like, you know what, let me just sit back a little bit, just actually wait a situation out and let things come to me. And I feel like this is saying that if that's the case, you might get some good ideas around that time, maybe an offer might come to you, but also I feel like this is just saying that you might really have an idea click for you where you could figure out a way to navigate your path best. And around that time, too, we're going to have Mars move into Gemini, which is your 12th house. So that could just have a lot of ideas coming to you guys as well. So your inner worlds could definitely be pretty active in March. Past energy, we have the Seven of Cups. So speaking of your inner world being active, this is actually Scorpio energy, but here we see a lot of options in front of you, but not necessarily knowing which one to go with, right? I always point out that the artwork here makes me think of that phrase, where you say this person's in the dark on something, right? Like we could all see those seven cups clear as day, but this person's quite literally in the dark. So it could just be saying that you might not have been seeing a situation clearly, having a little bit of difficulty making a decision because of that, right? So maybe you have a lot of opportunities in your path. To me, it was looking like maybe just a either or situation, but maybe you have multiple opportunities at play and you're trying to figure out which one would be the best one that suits you. But that's what I see there. And I will say, we are still technically experiencing Mercury retrograde at the time I'm recording this. So for this to show up in a past position, could just be pointing to that. Maybe the retrograde energy had you guys, feeling like you couldn't necessarily see a situation clearly. And that could also point to the moon energy as well. In the present position, we have the Two of Swords. So this is Libra energy here. And again, I'm getting more of a feeling that for some of you, it really is just a matter of two different decisions that you're trying to decide between. And with this artwork here, we see she has her back turned to the water and to the moon. So to me, those are both indicators of emotion. And she also has the blindfold on and her heart is crossed. So it could just be saying that you guys are really just trying to remove the emotion from the situation, right? Maybe you feel like you've been there already and it hasn't necessarily cleared up the situation for you. So you're like, you know what, maybe I need to take emotion out of this and just strictly look at this from a logical, rational point of view. But, even with that said, I feel like you're at that stage right now, but you still might not have made that decision just yet. In the near future position, we have the Six of Cups. So this could just be saying that if there was confusion around the situation with an individual person, maybe you've actually, or will, since it's in a future position, maybe you'll make the decision, you know what, let me actually go talk to this person. Maybe there was some kind of confusion around boundaries and where is this going, things along those lines, right? You're like, all right, well, let's go forward and actually talk this through with the other person involved and see if we can figure out a way to work it out that works for both parties. So that's one way I can see that playing out. I often call this the being the bigger person card because we see it looks like there's a size difference between the two, and the bigger person there looks like they're the one offering the cup, right? So it could just be saying you're saying, all right, if I had a falling out with someone, we're not quite seeing eye to eye. Let me see if we could actually discuss this and figure out a way that works for all parties involved. Now, naturally, people tend to think of reconciliations around romantic connections with that, but of course, given like we were saying there that this could be around career as well, this could be you trying to negotiate things on that front as well. Try to see what else comes to mind with this. I had something in my mind, now it slipped. Well, I will say one good thing too is to see yourselves in the seven in the past, which represents that confusion. At least it looks like you're coming out of that. So it looks like whatever this thought process is you're going through in the near future, you're actually going to feel a little bit more confident around your decision and moving forward with it. Oh, and actually, this is the other thing that came to mind too. When I was saying, maybe you have that safe, comfortable job, right? But you're like, well, yeah, but maybe it's not fulfilling, right? Maybe you feel like you're being overworked, and you might have another option on your mind where you're like, okay, I wouldn't have that level of financial stability, but I have a lot more freedom. If that's the case, that could be what you guys are looking at. Maybe something that was a passion of yours when you were younger, but maybe for whatever reason you got away from that. You could be considering, could you reconnect with that as a source of income? So that's what I see there. All right. The position of your influence in a situation, we have the Seven of Wands. So again, I see this as a mostly positive energy here because, again, looking at the Seven of Cups in the past, saying that, you had a lot of options at play but didn't quite know what to do around them. Here, to me, I see this as representing a bit more decisiveness, being a bit more sure of yourselves. Now, for some, this might be a bit of a controversial decision that you're making, but I feel like this is you willing and able to stand up for yourselves regarding whatever the decision is that you do decide to make. For some of you, this could be around finances too, since this is Leo energy and that's your second house of finances. But yeah, it's primarily what I see there. You could just be having a certain level of success. And again, this could be the same thing that I think I was feeling for you guys maybe last month and the month before, where it seems like a lot of people want what you have to offer. And really, that could actually be what might have put you in that thought process to begin with, where you're like, okay, well, clearly I have something that people want, right? If I'm getting all these offers, but can I possibly do that for myself, right? As opposed to, okay, I'm working for a bigger company offering these services that clearly people want. Could I possibly work that to where I eliminate the middleman in some way, So that could have been a thought process you guys have been going through as well. In the environment position, we have the Page of Wands. So this can represent another person that you could be dealing with, and if that's the case, you could just be wondering if they have a level of consistency that you could work with, or this could just be pointing to, as far as you guys coming out of that period of deliberation, because like I said, it looks like there's a lot of thought going on there. And like I said, when you guys have Mars in your 12th house starting early in March, you're going to feel that activity probably increase even more. And if that's the case, I feel like what this is saying is, you might just have an influx of ideas coming to you. But as far as actually taking action on them, given that this is fire energy here, it could just be saying that when we get closer to the end of March, when Venus and the Sun move into Mars, especially given that that's your house of career and social status, that might be the time to put yourselves out there. So that could be what that's pointing to. All right, and the hopes or fears position, we have the Ace of Pentacles and the Fool. So I'm going to guess these are both the hope, and it could just be saying that you're hoping for a fresh start. And for some of you, this could definitely be saying that this is around finances for you guys, where you really are hoping to, see a new source of income come through for you guys. I mean, you guys have a ton of activity going on in your 8th house, which usually represents investments around some kind. So it could just be pointing to that. And this could also, again, like I said, be pointing to relationships as well, or maybe you're just thinking about starting over. I mean, you guys had a lot of heavy energy going through your 7th house for a long time, especially with Saturn being there for so long. So maybe you're ready for a bit of a fresh start in that area as well. All right, and in the outcome position, we have the Hanged Man, which I usually view as Pisces energy, the Five of Wands, which is Leo energy, and the World. So usually I view this as North Node energy. We do have the North Node in your 12th house. Also, it has a bit of a Saturn and Capricorn vibe to it as well, representing completions of cycles. So again, I'm really viewing this as a similar message to what I mentioned a little bit earlier, which is to say that, as we're moving through Pisces season, this might be a good time for you guys to think things through. Looks like you're going to be in that state of mind in general anyway. And it could just be saying, if you really do take that time to process things, like we were saying with that Nine of Cups energy, maybe take a bit of a breather as opposed to pushing forward. Let things come to you, even if it's just more of ideas coming your way. And then once we get to that Aries season, so even though this is a Leo energy, given that it's more fire energy, I feel like this is saying by the time we get to Aries season, you'll see that cycle of completion where you're actually ready to move forward. Whatever lessons you were trying to learn from the situation, I feel like you can integrate those. And as we get toward the end of March, you're actually going to feel ready to move on them, which, like I said, is a good time to do so for a few different reasons. Mars is going to finally be Mercury rather, is finally going to be out of its shadow period after the retrograde ends. I think that's going to be around the middle of March. Um, like I said, you're going to have a lot of activity with Mars in your 12th as far as your inner world goes, but as far as actually taking action on those ideas, you might need that energy moving into Aries for you guys to actually make you want to physically put that out there in the world. So that's what I see there. And at the bottom of the deck, we have the Strength card. So Leo energy again. So like I said, for some of you, this could definitely be around finances and trying to figure out, some ways to reinvigorate that area of your lives. And also your creativity could be flowing, like I was saying, with getting a lot of ideas. But again, this could just be saying maybe hold back a bit until we actually get to fire energy. Let those other energies clear out that we talked about, and then you'll be able to move forward. Magician below that as well. So pretty positive and strong energies at the bottom of the deck for you. Moving on to the Oracle cards. First we have Between Worlds. So there's the artwork and the numbers 3. Okay, it says transitions, not being quite out of one situation and fully engaged in another, temporary blindness, no man's land. So temporary blindness, that makes me think of the moon energy we were talking about, where you might have to feel your way through a situation a bit more. She has the blindfolds on and the Two of Swords, the Seven of Cups, we were talking about being in the dark, not necessarily seeing a picture clearly, right? So we can definitely see some ties to that already, but let's see what else it says. The Oracle's message says, between the worlds is where you must let go of the tendency to make assumptions. This is a time when you are unable to see what is ahead. Cultivate curiosity and trust the process of change and growth. You are done learning the lessons of recent experiences. In this place, between what was and what will be, is a state of making and unmaking and making again. What is essential now is to admit not knowing. There is great freedom and power to be unleashed. A mystery that is not yours to understand weaves the web of life within a divine matrix of consciousness greater than your own thoughts, feelings, beliefs, desires, and decisions. The seeds that were planted in the past begin to take root, but what surfaces will probably not be what you expect. When you are between the worlds, you are invited to see with the curious eyes of a child glimpsing a rainbow for the first time. Do so and you will not be disappointed. So, pretty positive message there. And then I was also thinking of the artwork too, where like we were talking about the moon being in the dark there, the blindfolds, and how we see it's like moving from the darkness to the light there too. So like I said, if you guys just feel a bit stuck in the head and not ready to make a decision just yet, it looks like that should come a bit more naturally for you as we get a little bit later into the month. The relationship message says this is a time to explore the new energy between you and another. It is not a moment for certainty, but rather for discovery and curiosity. You don't yet know if it will last forever, so allow yourself to explore who you are and what is reflected back to you. This relationship is meant to educate you about yourself. What do you need? What do you like or dislike? What values are important to you? You are in a critical phase of your relationship that is not to be dismissed or hurried. So an interesting message there, because that makes me think of what I was saying with the Nine of Pentacles, where you're thinking to yourself, well, on the one hand, I could be in this relationship, right, and maybe I'll feel a bit more secure, but also what's the alternative, right? Looking at the potential to just have that freedom. So you could be weighing the pros and cons, and maybe that's what this person is teaching you, right? Like, okay, what are the pros and cons of being in a relationship, right? And seeing what path do you want to go through there. So hopefully that resonated. And then the prosperity message says, in your work, sometimes you try things that have worked for others, hoping that you too will be successful. When this symbol appears, it reminds you that sometimes the path to your prosperity is a gamble. Win or lose, you can learn much from what comes of your wager. It's a good time to bet on your skills and talents in new and different arenas. Remain curious, and with the right combination of timing and luck, you will stumble upon something golden that will be unlike anything you've known before. Interesting message there, because what stood out to me where it was talking about, maybe you've done things that have been successful for others, right? But it might not have been as good of a fit for you. So that makes me think of what I was saying there, where you're just going through the motions around something, right? Where you're like, okay, and you're putting in a lot of work. And then I was feeling with that Nine of Cups, it was saying, maybe to stop pushing forward as much and kind of let some ideas come to you, and then you could actually have that new idea. And then when it said, where to go? Stumble upon something golden, that made me think of the cups, of course, right? We see that they're golden, so hopefully that resonated for you guys there. And then you actually had a second oracle card come up from this deck, and that's Never Ending Story. There's the artwork, and the number is 37, so we'll see what that has to say. Okay, it says self-criticism, the wounded ego, unnecessary dramas. The oracle's message. There is a story woven through the imperfect fabric of life that tells of hurt and loss, rejection and humiliation, self-loathing and arrogance, and all manner of suffering born of unnecessary dramas. It is the old story whose refrain is that you cannot do this, must not go there, should not say that, lest your world come crumbling down. Today, know that none of this is actually true. The sky is not falling. The voice you hear is just a small, scared, conditioned part of you that got stuck in a lie, wants to protect you, and needs to be seen as a victim. Love that lost piece of you. Fear is all it knows. Distorted guidance is preventing you from being true to yourself. You are not your story, and the narrator is simply the voice of your fearful part, small and vulnerable and easily soothed. Interesting message there, I will say. When you feel that energy, that might even be before we officially get to March, because that makes me think of, like I was saying, we're going to have that full moon in Virgo, which is your third house communication. So that might be where those things come up for you guys, because it's going to be a fairly quiet full moon, but it's going to have a harmonious aspect with Uranus in your 11th house. So could just, have you looking at things in a different way when it comes to communication. So hopefully that resonated. The relationship message says sometimes your heart enters into a contract with another that results in pain, not because of abuse or neglect, but for other, more complex reasons. Shame, fear of intimacy, and low self-esteem are the greatest challenges to the success of a relationship. Consider how valuable this knowledge is, however. Right now, you have an opportunity for important healing, but you must reflect on the stories you weave about love, connection, abandonment, rejection, and loneliness. Not only do you need to begin a new story, you need to forgive yourself for telling yourself the old ones. Have compassion for the part of you that believes all those narratives. None of them were ever true anyway. So, definitely a pretty positive message there, too, as far as, like I was saying, viewing how you think about relationships. That could definitely be coming into focus, like I said, with all that heaviness finally leaving your 7th house. That might be what's helping you get a bit more of a fresh perspective around relationships, but hopefully that resonated too. The prosperity message says fear, envy, procrastination, greed, and the perception of victimhood could all be active in your life at this moment. Are you comparing yourself with others, thinking their success should be yours? Maybe you're afraid of all the good that is coming your way, so you step out of your lane, totally aware of what you're doing, but seemingly powerless to stop yourself. Are you back where you started, or in a situation that reminds you of past failures? Financial insecurity scaring you? You must learn to love yourself through missteps and sabotaging moments. Use criticism constructively right now. Better yet, stop telling the story altogether. Make up a new one. The universe loves you deeply and will wait for you to figure that out. Tell a new story, and success is all but guaranteed. You can do it. So, pretty good message there, too. I will say, reading through the messages for this card, I feel like this is more of the energy you guys are probably already in, given that I saw, like I was saying, a bit of uncertainty, and I see what looks like growing confidence as we actually progress a little bit in the month. So even though they came out where this one was read first and then this one came, I feel like this might be more of the energy some of you might already be in, and you're moving toward this energy, and then that would make a bit more sense too. Like we were saying, moving out of that darkness into the light a little bit. So hopefully that resonated with you too. And finally, we have a Mudra card. So the Mudra you guys got for this month is the Rudra Mudra. There it is there. Keyword for it is transformation. And there's the info on it if you want to read it, or if you want to pause it or take a screenshot to read what it has to say. But under benefits, it says improves digestion, assimilation, and elimination, opens Manipur chakra, regulates body weight, addresses organ prolapse, heals dizziness, sluggishness, and exhaustion. So if that sounds like something that would be beneficial for you guys, I will put the name of the Mudra in the description of the video as always. We'll wrap up there, and I'll see you all next month. All right, bye.